You really only need that one clap, Luis, right? Like it doesn't need to be
No,
three
this
to
time I'm
one,
gonna use the
three,
second
two,
one.
one.
I can already tell.
Damn. Okay. Well, look, you can already tell we're on another episode. A little case of the Mondays, Dalan. I know you've been dealing with some stuff over the last couple of days, but we got Salient Points number 65. This one's for April 19th, 2022. And we hope we can raise your spirits a little bit, Dalan. All right, Mr. We also got, I'm Carlos Macias, the master of ceremonies over here at We Got Comms' Salient Points. Dalan Kirkwood from up in the mountains. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Yeah, don't worry, I can count. Thank you.
Do you want to tell people what you've been dealing with, Dalan, or real quick, or nah? You don't have to. It's gonna be on wax.
No, it's fine. I lost my wallet, so I'm replacing all my stuff. And unfortunately, my wallet had my social security card in it, so and that's like the worst part of it.
you get it back, man. You just make a copy. You know,
I'm gonna get my wallet back.
You'll do fine. You'll do fine. And we also got Luis Mendez on the Wheels of Steel. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Believing.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, we're gonna start off this week's podcast with our number one fan. He's the one that comments on the YouTube video. So I've been kind of soliciting questions on the interweb. So maybe we got to figure out how to kind of get people a little bit more engaged. Maybe we're missing our internet star Deo. I think it gets the engagement.
Yeah, our internet star.
Yeah, he's the internet star.
Goblin.
Yeah, so I think we need to kind of get him involved in this and be like, hey, solicit some questions out here. But we do have a fan over at Jet, as per usual, loyal listener Jet. We could start off with his comment. He did say, I kind of forget what we were talking about, but I think we were talking about OLED switches or kind of getting the new one and the old one, because in his comment he said, I just recently got an OLED switch and none of the Pokemon save data transfers over if you're keeping both systems, so I'm going to do a new playthrough of PLA, so I'll critical path it and let you know how long it takes. I do appreciate the critical path over there, Jet. PLA, by the way, is Pokemon Legends Arceus. So I guess he'll let us know. But hey, if you have any questions, Jet, please throw it in the comments. Or if you have a Twitter, let us know, and we could interact that way. This one came in real quick, real suddenly. Kind of, by the time we're recording, it kind of slip right through. But Nintendo Switch, as far as the Nintendo Switch is concerned, we might be getting those Game Boy Advance and Game Boy emulators. Those leaked online. And this is according to 4chan. Different Twitters. I was investigating, and it's kind of all over the place. But apparently, these are Nintendo-developed emulators. One is called Hioyo, and that's the Game Boy one. One is called Sloop. I like how they go from Hioyo to just Sloop for the Game Boy Advance. For the Game Boy Advance emulator, and that's actually being developed by Nintendo Europe Research and Development. And what's the acronyms for that, Dalan? NERD. So that's
Nerd. At least it's not Nerve.
Okay,
with a V.
Okay, reasonable then.
Hey, that's it. It's an Evangelion jump. Don't worry.
So there's been there's a long list of games that also kind of leak, meaning like they know that they've been tested. Not that they will release, right? But that they've tested. It's a long list. They include Mario Kart, Golden Sun, Pokemon Pinball, and a bunch of other games. This was kind of reported on by by Kotaku. The prompt for you guys though is this is like Nintendo working hard to justify that like expansion packs, right? Like if we're getting this anytime soon, it's like, yeah, this is we need to give them something else, because obviously Salient Points doesn't like the $60 price tag. Dalan, your thoughts on this, man? Would you be excited to play some Game Boy Advance games?
The only one that you even mentioned that I was even excited about remotely was Golden Sun.
Did you play that?
I know there's a Golden Sun 2. I did play Golden Sun 1, and it was extremely confusing. Yeah, we lost people.
There's something going on with Luis. He is he's telling me he's rebooting his router. So I think we'll see him.
We're gonna pause.
We'll take a pause. We got that little technical situation, but we'll get his thoughts.
Yeah, that was a hard technical.
We'll get Luis's. We'll take a little breather, and we'll get Luis's thoughts on this right off the bat. Just we'll see you on the other end.
Sorry, it's fine.
Luis, please be careful with that audio, man. I'm entrusting you with a lot, because on the video side.
No. I usually use your clap because you're the laggier of us three.
No. Oh, he don't even know what I'm referring to, Dalan. So we're good.
Oh, okay.
We're good. We're good. We're good. Look, as per promised, Luis, you kind of left us. You kind of, what do you say, Dalan? He bamfed on us. I don't really like that word. I gotta be honest with you, Dalan.
Well, don't worry about it. Don't use my words.
Go with that one. Go with that one. Irish goodbye.
It's childish though. Like when
that was an Irish goodbye.
No. What I'm saying is, I don't like Dalan Dalen like saying like, oh, they just bamfed. It's such a I don't know. It feels like a
Also, that's an acronym for badass motherfucker.
Oh, okay, then I do like it, but I feel like Dalen does not know that. Luis, we're back
I
on.
feel like you don't know where the word "bamf" came from, so shut up.
I don't know where it came from. It just sounds like it's from a kid's cartoon or something.
It's from a comic book where Nightcrawler disappears.
Okay, bamf. As promised, on the other side of this break here, this technical difficulties break. Luis, any thoughts on this Game Boy Advance? It looks like it's Lumen. Because I know as part of the story, I forgot to mention, but part of the story was that these leaks have actually come out for the N64 and the Genesis, so there's some kind of credibility. There's some.
We got a problem.
What's the problem, Dalan? What's going on?
Problem is I haven't been recording.
Okay, Luis, do we have to do anything weird, Luis?
No, we got to do the quiet and the clap again because I didn't have it at all.
Well, you have to do the quiet, and we have to do the clap again.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Damn, dude, there's gonna be some editing nonsense. Good thing I'm not working early this week. All right,
all right. Let's get the clap.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Dalan.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
I hate you so much.
All right, now go ahead.
Damn, I'm gonna have to cut it because I kind of like what we were doing on that last little bit, but whatever. Anyway, so there's some Creedence Clearwater revival as far as this rumors are concerned, because as they had mentioned before, the N64 and Genesis those were leaked, so we should be seeing these Game Boy and Game Boy Advance emulators. Luis, are you kind of hyped for it? Will you actually upgrade to the expansion packs now, or not so likely?
I don't know, but I really don't think so. Mm-hmm. Just adding Game Boy games isn't gonna do it for me. Just adding N64 games. I mean, once they kind of start piling up, yeah. But then, what was the point of making it $60 to begin with? Like, to me, it just sounds like maybe they're gonna keep adding on to the expansion. But I don't know.
They're trying to sucker some people in there, man. Trying to sucker some people out.
I guess this kind of makes me think though that. Because everyone thought they were going N64 first, and they might still. But now that these leaks about Game Boy are coming in, maybe they're just going to work their way through like Nintendo's history, right? And start off with NES, SNES, Game Boy, and then kind of work their way through N64, maybe GameCube. Who knows? Whatever, we'll see.
All this is to say is just the audacity of Nintendo to be like, we've given you all this crap since the Wii. We've given you these, like even the 3DS had a whole bunch of Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games, and it's Nintendo's like, whatever. Look, just give us $60 already, man. Stop messing around. These might have online play though. So that sort of kind of gives you like an incentive to go back, right? But other than that, we're getting this.
But $60 to clap and whistle on Game Boy Advance games? Come on.
I know, they don't even give you options to talk, right? It's just all you could do is, hey, when me and Dalan, we would have to be on the chat. We play Puzzle League every so often. We haven't played it in a while, but we would have to be like
a couple of days ago.
We would have to be on. I said Dalan. I mean, I don't know what you do with your own personal life. We haven't played it, but anyways,
I play Puzzle League. That's what I do.
I hate you so much sometimes. But like I was saying, when we're on the chat, all we can do is clap in that thing. We can't thumbs up or thumbs down. And like Dalan, you hear the clap, but that's clap for like disappointment. All right, that's clap or that's a clap for joy or whatever. So we have to. Nintendo. Speaking of memberships, though, apparently someone's not so happy with how kind of their PlayStation Plus rollout went down. And this is Lorne Lanning from Oddworld Inhabitants, the studio founder. They did release their new game Oddworld Soulstorm a few months ago. That was on PlayStation Plus. And he was talking about how, and this was on a podcast that he was on. It's called Xbox Expansion Podcast via, VentureBeat is where I got the quote. He says, quote, "It's kind of a double-edged sword with Oddworld Soulstorm. We, out of necessity to get the project done, and we were hitting a number of late technical debt issues and talent issues. The games industry is emerging fast. Huge companies are paying developers fortunes, so it's harder to retain and harder to contract companies. And Sony was like, hey, why don't we do a deal? And the way we were working out the intention of doing the deal was that we would be free for a month on PlayStation Plus. We had the highest downloaded game on the PlayStation 5, said Lanning. At the end of the day, it was close to 4 million units or something like that, all for free because they were all subscriptions. So for us, it was devastating. And that's kind of like the big quote of it, right? Basically saying like we needed the money for the PlayStation Plus from the PlayStation Plus deal to get it kind of across the finish line. But I think he was hoping that only a few people would download it, right? Like only like a million focusers. So I feel like his expectations were off, right? It's not in this quote, but I know he was also quoted elsewhere saying that we thought it was only going to be a few million downloads and then we'd be able to sell it. But it's like, nah, dude, people love their Oddworld. And if it's for free, it's one of those games that I will definitely download to try because I don't know if I'm necessarily the biggest fan of the franchise. But yeah, so to him, he's saying it was devastating, but it's like at the same time, it's like it would not have been realized. It would not have come out, right? But it's kind of interesting, right? To get these quotes out there, especially when you consider like PlayStation talking about this is why we don't include day one games, is to give people options, blah, 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 right? But then you have kind of a real world case where they're like, we took the money, but we kind of regret it. Dalan, what are your thoughts on this, man?
My thoughts in this case is that the man is actually making excuses for something that may not have been true in the first place. I mean, the fact is that you have all these other Oddworld games that came out, and it has its own niche fan base. And I'll tell you right now, I've seen a bunch of Abe's Odyssey games and just Oddworld games. Never played one of them. Not one. I always think they look cool, but I never want to touch them. Yeah. In this particular instance, he talked about there being 50. He said if it did actually go on sale, like up for actual purchase, that they'd probably get maybe 50,000 to 100,000 units out there. And instead, there's 4 million downloads. So now he feels like he's out of money. Well, it's on PlayStation Plus for free. What did you think was going to happen? People are still going to actually go to the PlayStation Plus and just download these games and never touch them. Yeah, I'll tell you, I do that every month.
Dylan, you make some salient points, surprisingly so. But yeah, I think it's definitely one of those things where it's like, I think you kind of mentioned it, right? But it's like, dude, were millions of people really gonna buy your game? Like, in the first place, I'm sure maybe it could have hit 1 million or something, right? But it's very, it's a niche game, right? Like you don't. I was like, cool. I would have not bought it most likely. I might have game flighted it or something, but I would not have bought it.
My point.
Luis, what do you think, man? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, yeah, I just think he underestimated the PlayStation Plus subscribers claiming everything, regardless of whether they plan on playing it or not, because you have to claim it during that month or year out, right? Yeah. And there have been a lot of instances where, like, every once in a while a game goes on sale and then in the group chat someone's like, oh dude, like I just got this game, oh you don't have it, it was on PlayStation Plus like a year ago. I was like, oh of course, oh yeah, I actually do, I don't remember claiming this thing. So yeah, maybe he's just out of touch with the platform he was trying to release the console on and just didn't understand that,
like his expectations, right? His expectations were that based on his quote, right, we could kind of assume he's thinking like, oh, it's cool, it'll go on Plus. That's cool. We made the game.
We'll get people interested. We'll get people interested, will buy it.
And then people will buy it right after it's no longer free. Yeah. But it's like, nah, man, everyone that would have been interested got it day one or, within the month, right?
Well, they have 30 days is a long time to claim something for free.
To kind of pique your interest, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I wish this guy the best. He's kind of been working on these games for a long time, though. It'd be kind of cool to see him do a little different style of game. But it's unfortunate, but at the same time, it's like, it is like it could be a cautionary tale, right? It can be like, to me, I feel like this could be another thing that Sony can look at and be like, look, this developer was not happy, but imagine, get your game out see how your game does in the wild at $60 and then come back through PlayStation Now. So this is kind of one of those things where once it's out there, people could kind of point to and it's like, this is why Sony is doing it the way they're doing.
Well, I have a question in regards to this, actually. For people or companies that ended up putting their games on PlayStation Plus for free during that month, do they do the same thing that Xbox does, where they actually get a certain amount paid to their company in order to put it on PlayStation Plus?
I would assume like it's never been out there like really clear, right? But there's contracts in place, right? There's definitely like, and they're all different, right? We heard about one just recently about was it Guardians of the Galaxy? It's like we got paid $5 or $10 million. That's not, it's a good amount of money, but especially because it failed, right? But it's not like really gonna cover all your development costs or anything, right? So I think it's on a case by case basis, and I think every company, Sony makes a different deal with each one of the companies that get on there, or with Game Pass. So I mean, from what I understand, this is kind of one of those things that maybe PlayStation had the upper hand, right? And was like, dude, your game is gonna crash and burn.
It's not gonna make it if you don't do something.
It's not gonna come out. So do you want us to get it across the finish line or not? And
he was desperate from the sounds of it. So
so it's kind of like, it's the unfortunate thing. And he was actually even like throwing you guys under the bus, Lise. He was like, you guys asked for too much money. You guys want to get paid too much. But I mean, it's like, it's your skill set. I mean, it's your, you get paid what you get paid. So you want to make a video game in 2022, it costs what it costs, right?
Well, and that's the unfortunate part, is that most of the time the only way to get a raise is to leave the company or get another job offer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's going to happen if you're in that position. You're going to hear that a lot. Someone isn't getting what they think they deserve to get paid. They'll either leave or get an offer, and then you pay them or match the price.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
So-
Man, if you're a game developer, I hope you're comfortable wherever you're at.
well, I mean, it's kind of across the board. I mean, this is maybe higher stakes in some ways, right? Just based on what the salaries are. But it's across the board, right? When you're going to go find another job or something, you need some leverage, right? You need some leverage to like kind of force people to either pay you more or whatever the case is. But yeah, there's a couple things happening in this quote. That's why I thought it was pretty juicy, right? It's like, these guys want a fortune and Sony got us across the finish line. It's like, dude, then what did you expect? I understand. And it got good reviews and I played it for a level or two, but it's like, they got made.
Did you though?
I like half a level. I gotta be honest, like half a level. So next we got hey, good luck to Lorne Lanning. He seems like a cool dude. Anytime I see him on interviews, you kind of wish him the best. It's just how the dice roll sometimes, how the cookie crumbles. Then I'll give you one you like. The next one we have on here is Moss Book 2 reportedly only sold 101 copies. So to me, the prompt for you guys is that the end of PSVR 1? Because 2 is not out yet, right? And we got a little bit of news on 2. But so just to kind of give a little context, to just not throw out it's only sold 101 copies, this is a number that's from PSN Profiles, which is kind of an opt-in service. You go on the website and you're like, oh, I own this game. Right, I own this, or they can or maybe they could get into your trophies and kind of see the games you own. But it looks like it's 101 copies, which is like it's maybe BS number. But then if you look at Moss 1, that's listed as having 20,000 owners across both versions, and this is according to Sacred Symbols, one of the better podcasts out there. I know the guy gets a lot of flack out there. But even if it's opt-in numbers and blah, blah, it seems like 101, man. It's just, that's the magic number, right, Dalan? What do you think, man? What do you think about Tale of Despero 2, man, and not really selling as well as, maybe expected?
Well, that's a hard question to answer simply because I was just playing Moss 2 like yesterday or 2 days ago. Simply because I went back to my VR games to try to actually, really try some. And in this particular case, I almost forgot how good Moss 1 was. And again, that was like my deciding factor for even getting a PSVR. And when I heard Moss 2 was coming out, at that point when I saw the trailer, I was like, it's great that it's coming out, but it feels like too little too late. Not even about the PSVR in this case. It's just about the follow-up for the game. It got past the point of being exciting that it was coming out. Because I'm sure that there are plenty of better PSVR games that are coming out, or just VR games in general. I think not just PlayStation, just VR is a hot commodity for horror games. People love horror games, and they love being in that little environment where they get jump scares and stuff, roller coasters and virtual experiences, and being on the beach and stuff.
So
but
part of this, do you feel like it's kind of waning interest, like because it did come out like a couple years ago, the original, and that's the one you're playing, or you're playing 2?
No, I'm playing the original.
The original. Do you feel like part of it is just waning interest on this particular game? I mean, I think in general VR though is kind of like waning in some ways, as far as like at least PlayStation VR.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm surprised the VR scene has lasted this long, but some companies have figured out how to make it survive. I mean, there's the whole meta thing where people are delving into more VR experiences now, and with COVID-19, they want to be in a real space and say that you're in a real office, which is a complete and total lie.
You don't gotta look around, Dalan. You're actually in a real place in a real office.
You're in real time in a real office.
You, man.
But
we believe you.
But the fact is that it's not the concept that people should really live by.
Luis, your thoughts on this in particular? I guess it's not. Is it surprising? I guess that this like whatever, man. Ain't nobody on PSVR right now.
I think there's one main issue with the sales, regardless of how accurate these numbers are, because they're not accurate to the final sales numbers. But of the three of us here, there's only one person that could actually play that game if they wanted to, and Dalan only meets 50% of the criteria because you need a PlayStation 5 and you need the adapter. So
wait. It has to be on PlayStation 5?
Yes.
Huh, we gotta look at, okay, so that it's a technical hurdle. Not only is the game kind of late, but they decided to make it so you need a PS5. They don't even have that adapter.
PlayStation 5 exclusive.
Look, and I make fun of Dan. Did I get 2 adapters then? I hope I got 2. I feel like maybe I got 2.
If you got 2, please give me one.
I gotta look this up.
All of a sudden, you want to play this game because you can't play it now.
Oh, no, I just want to be able to put my PSVR on the PS5. I don't care about the Tale of Despero 2. Let me get this.
I put that in my review, Dylan. On Monster Vine, I put that in my review, the original one, Tale of Despero. I hope I gave you credit. I think I said as a friend. I didn't put your name. I wouldn't put it like in there, but I think I said a friend.
Didn't want to dox me in any way.
But that's that. So, I mean, that might be it. I feel like that's not what I was reading. But if you looked it up, at least I'll believe you. Not like I would believe Dylan. I would shut him down immediately. But I'm gonna give you some credence, Luis.
No, it was on one of the links in the rundown that I read through.
Okay, so I think that probably yet a further like step, right? A hurdle where they're like, really, this is what you guys are gonna do here. The final thoughts, Dylan. Before we move on.
You did say earlier you gotta always believe what Dalan says, so that's what that is.
No, that's gonna be cut, dude. Luis, if you put that in, man, I will go to your house.
Thanks for confirming it right now.
Hey, Luis, I know where you live, man. I will kick over your computer. All right, I will kick over your computer when you least expect it. It was like, my bad. Hey, but so we are talking about PlayStation VR 2. That might be actually. They never said. This is one of those things I was looking in the comments and people were real quick to say PSVR 2 can't be delayed because it was never given a release date. How can you delay something that wasn't? But I feel like general understanding is the end of this year, right? But according to a Twitter analyst, he's saying that it might not be till 2023 that we see the PSVR 2. This is Ross Young. He's the CEO of Display Supply Chain Consultant. He says, quote, VR display shipments to rise more than 50% to more than 15 million in 2022, despite delays to 2023 at Apple and Sony. Big jump forecasted in 2023. So he's basically saying he kind of doubled down, or he confirmed with Upload VR. He said that Sony will only have a very limited supply by year's end, so any serious launch would have to happen in 2023. I don't know. I kind of remember Sony saying like 2022, right? Or vaguely 2022, or no? Do you guys remember that? No?
I don't remember a release date at all.
All right, so
even a window.
So, but now we do, I guess. 2023 at the earliest, we'll have PlayStation VR 2.
But do we need it though?
I mean, you need it for Moss 2 apparently, Dalan. If you want to run Moss 2, you got the adapter. Was that the comment, Dalan, or do you have anything else to say?
That was basically it's like, do we really need it? Because actually, the only reason I'd even want the PSVR 2 is simply for the adaptive controllers that they would have in this case.
Yeah.
Outside of that,
yeah.
It's like I don't want to use these stupid move controllers anymore because you got the tracking balls that barely track. I want the new spiffy controllers, and as of right now, and I'm waiting until 2023 to see if I even want to pay out. I guess it'll probably drop at $500 or $600.
It'll be pricey.
I mean, it'll be pricey, and I'm like, maybe I just get a Quest.
Yeah, I mean, that wireless freedom, man. I mean, that's kind of one of the things where, they simplified it where you only need a single cord. But, I wish it was wireless. But we have spoken about that more than a few times now, so I understand propriety and blah, blah, blah. They'll get the wire in there. Luis,
that's my VR sale to everybody. I'm just going to – I know you were trying to jump to Luis, but that's my VR sale for anybody. If you're going to buy a new VR – get a Quest. I tell that to everybody.
That was particularly rude to Luis. That I was going to him.
Hey, I apologize.
But that's fine. Luis, your thoughts on this here, man? 2023 at the earliest.
Going back to a few comments ago, PSVR tech is, I think, at this point older than GTA 5. So the Move controllers, I think that's like 2010 or something.
Yeah,
that was PS3.
So yeah, that's old, man. That's some old tech to try to keep using on a PS5 for Tale of Despero 2. But yeah, I'm kind of on the same boat. It's like I'm not itching to get my hands on it yet. I have a Quest. I can play stuff on there for now in the time being, and I'm not going to be a day one purchaser. I doubt it. So whatever. If they have to unofficially delay it, then cool. Like whatever.
You can't delay something that never had a release date. You can't delay something that never.
I saw Luis looking up to the side. He had to look off the map like, I think so.
That's how you think of words, too.
I don't know how you guys understand my sentiment towards this thing, but you could probably say I'm kind of a little bit of a hater, or not. I don't know if hater, but like just not really that interested in it. I'm probably gonna pick this thing up day one. All right, let me just put it that way.
Snaps. Like, okay.
Just give me the pre-order. That's fine. Just give me the pre-order.
You just said, "Shut up and take my money."
Yes, exactly, Dalan. That's exactly it. Shut up and take my money. I will complain all the way to the bank when I have to get the $500 out. It's $500, right? They haven't set a pricing. If they're going get a second job for it, though, that might make me question my decision.
Oh, they're not going to say that as long as it's under $1,200. As long as it's under $1,200, they're not going to say that.
$1,200. What did you say, Luis? You got a pricing?
They're going to have to match or get near the MetaQuest price, at least.
Which is $300, right? About? Or no, more?
Yeah, I think so. It's around there.
I would, day one, dude. Day one, if it's $300. $500, probably still, but a little questionable. Dalan, what is the big news to you, man, this past week? You got something to kind of break down for us?
I do, but I'm going to start by saying this because I was a little upset that this even became a news story because I wanted to talk about Dead Space. They got their creator and they have a new horror game that's about to come out. I wanted to talk about the fact that Ghost of Tsushima's movie now has a screenwriter. I wanted to talk about the successor for Suikoden. Suikoden was, I can't even pronounce the name of that game. Ayuden Chronicles. Ayuden Chronicles. I don't know how to say it. Well, whatever. Fact is, I can't talk about any of those because Microsoft is reportedly exploring integrating ads into their free-to-play games. Yeah. That is a super upsetting thing.
It's free-to-play. It's in it. It's in it.
Well, they were talking about trying to put in billboards and posters for real products within the game, rather than like those smaller ads. But it was actually quoted for Business Insider, who actually did the interview. I guess was unable to learn if
Bloomberg.
We only respect Bloomberg around here, right?
Well, it was from VGC, who reported on Business Insider. That's how it actually came to be. We'll give them a chance. We'll give them a shot. I said that they were unable to learn if the Xbox will also offer other types of in-game ad units like avatar skins or video ads that play in gaming lobbies, which would be irritating as hell. Inside was also unable to determine if Microsoft had pitched the Xbox offer to advertisers as of yet. But the concept has actually always been there for actually having ads in video games. And even back in 2008, I didn't even know this, but I know, Carlos, you ended up playing Burnout Paradise. In Burnout Paradise, apparently they had a whole billboard just for Obama's election.
Yeah, they had ads all over that game, man.
Yeah, it was all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it was all kinds of stuff.
They had acts everywhere.
Wow.
Well, now they're talking about doing it regularly, or at least potentially, and working on trying to get that out there even more. Were the ads actually irritating at the time when you were playing Burnout Paradise?
No.
I thought it was funny. Yeah. I was like, oh, Axe is in my game. That's funny.
Well, now we're going to get more real ads if Microsoft ends up moving forward this. And I'll tell you right now, they better not do like in-game ads like that completely take over the screen until you got 30 seconds to wait. I would break a game. I would break a game.
Or your phone. Which is
I'm trying not to break a phone. It's free to play. I understand.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't really see that big of a deal, mainly because I kind of stay away from free to play games. I know there's a guy I follow on Twitter. Maybe I'll shout him out, but I don't have his tweet, but he was like, I do not allow free to play games in my house. All this stuff was deleted. I think he was talking about like Sonic, one of the Sonic Rush games or something like that. And I thought that shit was hilarious. He was like, dude, relax, man. He's like, uninstalled that game because of free to play. We don't do that kind of stuff in this house. We don't do those shenanigans out here. But I don't play free-to-play games. I maybe have dipped into them here and there. Mainly, the main reason is because of that whole ad thing, right? If there's an option, like if I really like a game and there's an option to remove the ads by paying $5-10 or something like that, I'll do it. They do get wacky, though. Some of these, like, solitaire games, if you guys ever play this, they're like, yeah, we'll remove ads for $15. I'm like, really? Come on, man.
This ain't way too much.
This ain't even like the best version of solitaire. It's like a crappy version of solitaire, but you really want me to give you 15, but it's like outside the realm of ridiculous, right? We're like, damn, do I gotta just deal with these ads? I feel like I need a little bit more than what you're saying, Dalan, and maybe there is more. But as far as billboards,
do you feel like it can spin out of control though? Like you start with billboards and they can build up to
I mean, I understand the concern. That's what I'm saying. Like, I gotta hear a little bit more. As far as billboards, it's like whatever, man. You're racing at 150 miles an hour, or however fast you're racing in Burnout. I never really noticed it. If anything, maybe it was about the same billboards that I never noticed it in the game, because it's like, oh, that's just part of the regular billboards that games used to have pre-internet, you know? So if it's part of a billboard or if it's part of the ads, I think I'm okay. I would kind of be more, I'd be more against it if it was like it affected your gameplay, right? Like it's like, here's
that's
ad.
The big thing.
But other than that, like
you got load times because now you have to look at this ad and the load time.
But that's not a load time though. Then they're giving you an ad, dude. The game is already loaded, dude. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, Liz, but the game is already loaded. They're just like, watch this ad for no reason. But yeah, I kind of have to hear a little bit more. I do like that it upset you this much that you couldn't even talk about the Suikoden game, which is I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Elysium or Elysium. That's gonna be on Game Pass.
There's no L, it's I. It's Iden.
Well, that's gonna be
Iden Chronicle Rising.
Whatever, Dalan. The moral of the story is that it will be on Game Pass, not the actual game proper, but like a side quest that they're doing first, because I think they raised enough funds that they're making a smaller version. I think it's kind of like that. What was that? Bloodstain? How Bloodstain did sort of a smaller 8-bit version. I think they're doing that, and that's dropping on Game Pass. So,
okay, so that's what that is. Because I saw it, and it's talking about Iden Chronicle Rising. I was like, I don't remember the Rising being in the title of the game. And I'm just gonna say it now. That little day one pass thing comes out May 10th. It's coming up.
So
close,
there you go.
Carlos.
So Dalan, there you go. See, we won't let you get too upset about fucking billboards in a video game, Dalan. All right, but Luis, is this Dalan? Should Dalan have gotten this worked up about this? Maybe in the future. I'm not saying it's not a slippery slope and blah blah blah, and it won't affect it, but a billboard, it's okay. Or what do you think, Luis?
I mean, I understand the concern, and any time you mention ads in any space at all on the internet, people get upset. And it's like, well, it's free. Like, what do you expect? They have to make money somehow. We just talked about Oddworld Soulstorm struggling to meet developing deadlines because developers' their salaries are out of control. So if anything, blame the developers' salaries. Blame the developers for asking too much money.
He should have made it free to play and added some billboards in there, Dalan.
He should have just made a deal with PlayStation Plus.
Instead of taking that dirty money from PlayStation, I guess, that dirty cash that is so devastating that his game exists and he underestimated people downloading it. I kind of overtook.
That's his fault. That's his own fault.
Luis, is that kind of?
That was it. Yeah.
So we'll move on to quick thoughts here. This one, you guys weren't too interested in it, so I'll just quickly mention it. But apparently Microsoft is working on an improved chip for Xbox Series X. This isn't that surprising, but I do like how one of our homies, quote unquote homies, I guess, Abel in our chat says that it's like,
he's not the homie.
Hey, we'll let him. Hey, I'll tell him we talk shit about it, so let's see if he listens this time, right? And I want to question and comment and a like and subscribe. Abel.
A real homie would listen to this podcast.
I want to like and a subscribe and all that kind of fun stuff and some questions. But like he's like, oh, I gotta get rid of my Xbox Series X because it's like, he's like, they're working on a new one. It's like, not necessarily. They're always working on newer chips, right? Newer, more efficient, cooler chips. that's kind of how I take this. I don't take this as like the new Xbox Series X is coming out this year and it's gonna make your old one useless. But just to throw a quote out there, Brad Sams, he's a YouTube journalist. He says, "Quote: I believe this is true. I know that Microsoft was working on revisions of the chip. Now, are we going to see performance improvements? Are we going to see anything else? I do not believe so, but Microsoft is always working on making cooler, more efficient chips because that lowers the cost of production." So, go ahead, Dalan. See, I got wrapped you into it.
The only question I got is it going to make the Xbox lighter, though?
I don't know. Maybe. Possibly. I think it just depends, right? I mean, it depends.
No, you remember the PS5? They did the little update and they made their PS5 lighter by like, I don't know, a couple of ounces.
Yeah. No, that's right. It was like a couple ounces off. Like you would hope it's a significant, like, I think it's possible, right? But I mean, I think some of this is like, they upgrade their hardware in there all the time and they don't say shit. Right, this is like one of those things. Like we upgrade it, it's cooler, smoother. The performance is the same, but it's it's a little more peaceful. It'll cause
future batches are just gonna have it. I mean, why even announce it?
It means we should. It means like which they don't. Right, this is just the guy kind of bringing it up. Right, but yeah. So we're kind of looking forward to that. Maybe it does become a little slimmer. Maybe it does become a speaker as well. The Xbox Series X can be
black
its own
speaker,
version. Can be racial, but it can be its own version of a speaker. Next thing we have on here is Horizon Forbidden West director. He's teasing the third game already. I know this thing just came out a month and a half ago. With speaking to VG 24/7, Horizon Forbidden West innovative director Mathis the Jong, I hope I pronounced that right. He stated the narrative threads we see at the end of the game will be taken a look at in a follow-up. Quote, this game ends with another big cliffhanger where we're setting up some things for the next game once again. I mean, it's not too much, right? It's not too spoilery, so I'm happy about that because I'm like, damn, I hope this is not a spoiler. It's basically there's a third game coming, right? He basically kind of confirmed it with that. Luis, your thoughts on this, man? That of course is the third one, right?
Well, I guess now I know that I haven't even beaten the second one yet. But I was actually kind of hoping they would work on a new IP at this point, though. 2 games in, and especially for the PS5, or like a true PS5 game, because Horizon, the new one, is multi-platform technically.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like the first one. I like the second one, but to me, I don't feel like it's like a must-play game, and I feel kind of shitty saying that. But like, I kind of hope there would be a third IP from Guerrilla, but. I'll still buy it. Whatever they come out with, I'll check it out. If it interests me enough.
They've proven themselves, right? But I think maybe Horizon has kind of taken off in a way that Killzone didn't, right? Like you would assume, right? Like it's like it's taken off in a way, and even what did I just say? Killzone. I just said it. So there's something wrong with my brain, just so the internet knows.
With your Alzheimer's, go ahead.
There's definitely some dementia, early stages of dementia going on. But Killzone, this thing has taken a life of its own. I think it's become like a pillar of the PlayStation brand. I feel like Horizon, and I think the fact that Killzone lasted for a while is mainly because if you guys remember when it first came out, it was supposed to be the Halo killer. I don't know if you guys were reading those magazines back in the day. They're like the Halo killer finally, and I think it was Sony like pushing. We have a shooter, but now it's. I don't think maybe that big of a deal. So they're like, fuck it, keep making Horizon. We need you guys on this. We need another third-person character action game. I do think they're pretty high level, please. I feel like I'm okay with the third one. I still kind of haven't played through the second one, but playing through the first one, I kind of was like, they keep going. Maybe they could split off, right? Maybe they could have a separate team where they're kind of creating the germs of an idea for what else they could do, right? And they have the money for it. Dalan, your thoughts?
For me, I'm actually just going to branch out from Luis's comment in this case, is the fact that I feel it's more like fatigue for the type of game that it is. Now, if you remember, I've mentioned it in previous episodes that I didn't play Horizon for the longest time because I had just played a bunch of other games that were almost exactly like Horizon during that period of time. And when you actually stop and try and play both games back to back, you don't feel like anything new was done because you didn't give it that 4-year break or 5-year break that came in between the two games. And I'm pretty sure that even if we do get a third game, it's going to be 4 or 5 years down the line. And you're going to be like, all right, I've played a bunch of games in the past 5 years. It's going to be refreshing to go back to this. And you're not going to have, or at least right now, you don't have that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean,
that's all I
maybe,
gotta say about it.
do you feel like maybe that's what it is, at least a little bit? Maybe the template is kind of for you. You're like, give me something else, because it is kind of like a Ubisoftish type of game, right? The template of it, that it's like
it's the Assassin's Creed, man.
Yeah,
because I mean, yeah, it is a new game. There's some new mechanics, and that's a new story, of course. But I think it's more just that hearing that this one just came out. I don't even think I'm halfway through it, and they're already talking about a third, which makes sense. I mean, that's what you do. Yeah. When you're in a studio, but like
it's like your movie hasn't come out yet.
But hearing about it this soon, it's it's too soon, right? Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a good point that 3-4 years from now it'll be enough time between that title. So,
and it'll feel fresh at that point.
We'll see, or maybe Breath of the Wild 3 comes out at the same time, like it did with the original.
Oh snaps! Like, hey man, blast radius! Watch out for the blast radius!
Yeah, watch out for the blast radius on these games coming out when Horizon 3 drops. The next thing we have on here, this was a little interesting, because we've talked about it before, right? But Sean Murray from Hello Games, basically the creator, or I think he's the founder of Hello Games, who made No Man's Sky. He's kind of yet again pimping out another game. He, in an interview with IGN, they say studio co-founder Sean Murray said his next game would be just as ambitious as No Man's Sky. Quote, "For a while now, we've been working on something pretty ambitious in the background. It's a small team, but we like it that way," said Murray via Eurogamer. Look, we have talked about this crap before. I don't understand why people thought No Man's Sky was going to be this whole incredible genre-defying. It's going to break the world. It's so amazing. You're going to be in space. I don't get that. And I even was trying to give this guy the benefit of the doubt. I was thinking, like, it's Sony kind of pimping out a game, right, that they have that looks nice, and they're like, they want to make it as big as possible. But this kind of crap is like, Sean Murray, shut up, man. What do you just make your game? Have people have the right expectations for your game. But this guy's already like, nah. We're gonna No Man's Sky 2. That's what we're working on over here.
He's a salesman. He's got his pitch going. But how many people made that first one? It was like 16 or maybe 12 people in a garage or something like that.
He's basically saying it's the same amount of people. They haven't hired not one person extra, and they're over here like, it's gonna be ambitious. So I'm like, Sean Murray, I was giving you a benefit of the doubt, but not with this shit, man. Talk about it's gonna be huge. So yeah. Luis,
it's gonna be a huge indie game.
I guess
that's what the first one was. I mean, to be fair, I feel like that whole situation was probably a big learning experience, and they did at some point come back and fix the game. I guess they got a lot of people to come back, but so I'm hoping that they learned from that. I'm hoping that they learned from that experience. Yeah. To make something, but he doesn't have to come out here pimping this new game like just as ambitious. Same team, not one new person hired. We're gonna do this, and it's like, okay, well, that didn't work out the first time.
We're paying a fortune, damn it. We're paying a fortune over here. Yeah. Luis, so I do like that you say maybe they learned, but obviously not, because this motherfucker's over here making statements again, like big bold statements.
Maybe he feels more confident now, though. But
hey, man, he needs to go back on Stephen Colbert and correct his mistakes.
He loves the clout, man. That social clout, and then for it to come out and people like, wait, this is not what we wanted. I'm like, well,
fool me once.
Hey, that's gonna be on the consumer this time around, dude. For real. I'm like, we talked about this shit on Salient Points 1, 5, 7, 10 through 15. Like all the episodes we tell you to not do this shit. Dalan, anything else on that, or are we in?
Nah, I'm good.
The next thing we have on here is that the Portal 1 and 2 co-writer Eric Wolpaw, he was on a podcast. He was on Kiwi Talks podcast, saying that we've got to start Portal 3. That's my message to whoever. Quote, "I am not getting any younger. We are reaching the point where it's crazy to think that we're literally going to be too old to work on Portal 3, so we should just do it." And he does kind of give Valve a little bit of a benefit of the doubt on this. He talks about how he says, quote, "They're working all the time. It's just you don't always see the result. It doesn't always end up coming out, or it comes out years later. It gets turned into something else. So everybody is accounted for, I guess is what I'm saying. People are all doing something. So you'd almost have to take them. It's like a revolution, and stir up a bunch of people to leave what they're currently working on and come work on something else. In this case, it would be Portal 3. I would be super hyped, man. Portal 3, I love the first one. The first one was super nice and kind of a nice length, and I think perfect length, honestly. Portal 2 brought the amazing co-op aspect to it. It was still fun, new mechanics. I'm down for Portal 3, but I think we get a little bit of insight also on what he's saying. It's like, they're working on shit, and they're working on Steam, obviously, right? The back end of that, the infrastructure. They're running a store, damn it. They're running a Walmart of the video game space, right? So they are doing something. You would literally, like he's saying, you have to pull them and be like, let's do Portal 3 right now. But what are your guys' thoughts on this? Luis, we'll go with you first, man.
Well, yeah, I think that's the issue is that unanimously, I think it would be a decision if you just put a question out into the ether of like, who wants a Portal 3? I think everyone that played the first two would want a Portal 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Steam. They're working on the Steam Deck. They're working on Steam. They're like, Steam is making money. Why would we deviate from that to make something else? And then
hand delivering the Steam Decks. Hand delivering.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think it just comes down to that. They're just focused on where the money's at, and in general, like he mentioned, they'll work on stuff and then just scrap it years later. Work on something for years, like a very, very, very long time. So, I mean, Half-Life 3, dude, people have been asking for that for forever. Like, I don't think that's ever coming out. Who cares? Whatever.
Yeah.
You got Alex.
Yeah. They really said Half-Life 3 is like, we're working. Let's do Alex real quick. But if you guys haven't played Alex, I'm gonna try to not be spoilery, but it does advance the story. It's not exactly, episode 3 or Half-Life 3, but there's some advancement. If you guys,
it's like Half-Life 2.0. It's like the Half-Life 2.5.
yeah. I mean, it does advance the story a bit. There's some nice little nuggets in there if you guys haven't played it. But yeah, it really is, just basically kind of what Luis was saying. It's like they're working on shit. They're doing things. I understand that it doesn't come out and people are like, they're not doing anything over there. Well, they're running Walmart. All right. Dalan, what are your thoughts on this, man, before we move on?
Well, one of his quotes that he said on the podcast that actually made me laugh. He was like, we've got to start making Portal 3. That's my message to whoever. I was like,
I'm putting this shit out there to whoever will listen to me. To whoever will
but yeah, honestly, after I played Portals 1 and 2, I was very much waiting for 3. Then I never heard anything else about it. So I was a little disappointed. It was like one of the best puzzle games that had ever come out. And it was co-op by the time we got to 2. I mean, they made their like Portal construction bridge, whatever it was, but that's not a real Portal 3. It's kind of like waiting for a Fable 4. I think they kind of finally announced Fable 4, but we had to wait years. And he was like, I don't know if we could do another Fable, but I want to do another Fable. Same thing with the guy from Portal. I don't know if we can do another Portal, but we got to get started on Portal.
I appreciate you bringing up Fable, but like we're talking about like good games over here, Dalan.
Hey man, you.
We're talking about good games over here.
You better be careful with those words, man.
What are you doing over here, man? I think I played through 1. It was all right.
Oh man, you need to stop. That fan base of Fable is gonna throw arrows in your knee.
I think you said I haven't played through RPGs. I think I actually did play through 1 and 2. Fable 1 and 2. I think I did play through that one.
I mean, the only bad thing about Fable was like the very last boss. That was it. I think you just knock him off of a ledge by pressing the button. That was the end of the game.
As we do. Next thing we have on here, of course, is we found out people are out there just cyber sleuthing left and right, man. But we know where Sora's apartment is from Kingdom Hearts 3. Sora's apartment in real IRL. It's apparently really pricey. And this is found out by maybe you can help me, Dalan. Kimochi, CEO of anime merch site Itaikuji. That's a lot of stuff. So she tweeted out, quote, I can't believe Sora lives in fucking Aoyama in Tokyo, which is one of the most expensive residential areas in Tokyo. The building in the distance looks like Shibuya Stream, and I am fairly certain the park you see is Aoyama Gakuen. Also, this is probably his apartment, LOL. People kind of broke it down further. His rent is about $2,000. And if you wanted to buy the apartment, it's about $1.2 million USD. which is, to me, I don't know about you guys, it does seem sort of outrageous, but it seems like outrageous for someone that's unemployed and doesn't live on their own, because these rents and these house prices and all this crap, they're up there, man. So I'm like, what world do you guys live in? But from what I understand, like, the rates might be a little lower. You know, you're doing conversion rates and all this stuff, right? It might be super expensive for Japan, right? But if you live in California, this is like, okay, maybe I wish that, you know, maybe I could do some of this.
It's my price for a nice ass apartment like that.
Yeah.
However, I still have the question: is when you're playing a video game, why do you care how much the real rent is? I don't understand why people are going this far to find out the rent for an apartment that they're not going to live in or ever see or even live in that district, for all I know. The fact is, the apartment's in the game. It could have been a cardboard box in the video game. You're going to have people go sleuth for a cardboard box to find out how much that cardboard box was. I don't care. Look, let me play my game.
I feel you on that, Dalan, but I think part of it was like, this motherfucker has no job. He has no income. How is he paying for this? I think that was the more interesting thread to me, like going down that thread online where it's like, who pays this man? Who pays this man?
That's why he had to get smaller shoes.
Wait. So as far as the shoes are concerned, this is I didn't get the quote for that on here, but apparently the shoe situation is because they're sort of like in a realistic aspect of the game. But you might go, like we talked about it a little bit last week, is you're gonna go into different Disney worlds, right? That's the moral of the story. They were saying that the Goofy shoes will return in those worlds. So it's the fact that he's in a quote unquote realistic world. He has realistic quote realistic-ish proportion
and
shoes
realistic expenses
and realistic expenses apparently, because I'm like, where does everybody live nowadays?
Okay, so my question is, why did he have those big old clown shoes on Destiny Island? It's not like there were any Disney people there. It was his original house.
Dalan, it's called artistic choice, man. Let these people
let them have big old feet
and all the sippers in the world, man. Let them have all the sippers and all the Goofy shoes. All right,
all the gold change you can find, all the silver change you can find.
Please, your thoughts on this, man, before we move on to the next
I mean, look, obviously he's getting all his money from Big Papa Disney, like, no question. They're paying the rent for him. Like, they put him up there on that. He woke up. He didn't look like he knew where he was at. Like, he didn't know he was home, dude. So they set him up. He got knocked out or something. They're like, there's a big ass Heartless out here. Take care of it.
Take care. Hey, take care.
He didn't have to wake up and go do that.
They did tell him, it's like, we will not finish your world unless you come out on PS Plus. So just take this. Just accept this. Just accept this. So that's how he gets his apartment. We figured it out. We got to the bottom of this. I don't like how, I mean, it's realistic, I guess, but it's like, where do people live, man? Because this shit's outrageous out here. This is kind of close to what you're paying for. It's so depressing, man. We're supposed to be on a podcast talking about video games. Now we're talking about real life situations. The next thing,
hey man, don't be sad.
I'm a little sad. The next thing on here, Returnal dev. He was on a PlayStation PS I Love You XOXO. That's from the guys at Kind of Funny. So they did have the Returnal director Harry Kruger talking about some of the difficulty and kind of how that plays into the story. He said, quote, I think we can always do more and could always add more support for different ways to play the game and different control methods. I think when it comes to the difficulty, I think it is a question of what kind of experience you are having with Returnal. For example, the character Celine, she is talking about dying over and over and how these are insurmountable odds, and she can't keep going on, and there's this descent into madness that is happening purely because of the challenges she's facing, and her challenges are the players' challenges as well in many ways. I don't know about you guys, that's just a whole bunch of nonsense, man. Just make the game easier. Give us some more checkpoints. Was it really that pivotal to the story, though? Luis, I think you got a little deeper than Dalan did in this, in the game, right? Do you feel like, do you feel him on this, or could he just giving us some more checkpoints out here? Or a couple more
I mean, I don't know. If that's the argument there, then you could have changed how the difficulty was scaled across the game. You didn't have to make every single room a possible death area, you know? You could have made it so that certain sections are more difficult, you know, way more difficult than the rest of the game, where you're going to die multiple times. And they do have that with some bosses, right? Some bosses you die and then you have to restart and die and then restart. So yeah, if that's the argument, I guess I don't know how, but
Yeah.
they could have done it differently if that's why he wanted it to be
Look,
difficult.
they're making a glorified 3D version of Super Stardust. I mean, it just, I mean, I want to play the game. I want to play through your game, but
It's like,
yeah,
I want to like this.
I
want
like
to
this.
like
I
this.
like the art style. I like everything. I liked a lot of the game. The gameplay was strong. It was good, nice to play. All that. They added co-op, which apparently the co-op isn't even that great either. There's all kinds of issues with that. But I mean, this is just justifying it, right? Basically, the guy saying, "Dare to try the game." When it comes on PlayStation Plus, when you drop $120 a year for it. Dalan, your thoughts on this, man? Do you feel, do you side with the developer? Which, we could side with them, I suppose.
What I'm going to say in this case is that I understand where he's coming from, but at the same time, I don't side with him. Because I'm just going to use this example because I know you talked about it last week. When you're playing Chrono Trigger, and even though you're going through some of these fights, you're going through these fights so you can see the next cutscene. And you're enjoying the cutscene, but you don't really care about how difficult the previous fights were. Yeah, there was a journey to get there, but it's not going to impact how much I enjoy the story. The same thing actually goes for Returnal, is that I don't care how hard it is. I understand that you want us to overcome the challenges and have this sigh of relief when we see the next part of story, but I'll have that same sigh of relief just doing it on easy mode. So I think his point is moot. The fact is that if we get to see the story, there's going to be videos up on YouTube. There's probably already videos up on YouTube where people are like, just watch the story for Returnal. And people will do that. They don't want to go through the difficulties of the game. And they'll still enjoy the game just as much, or probably as much.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of respect what he's saying, but at the same time, like,
I can respect it. He specifically made it so that there is the challenge to overcome to get rewarded. And if that challenge is easier for me or for people that don't know how to play these types of games as well, instead of just up there saying get good scrub, I'm fine with people being able to get through the game.
There you go. But it's good, it's good to kind of have them, kind of talk about the game a little bit more and trying to tie it into the narrative. But at the same time, it's like you were saying, it's like you're going to get the narrative, right? You're still going to get the narrative points to it. The next thing we have on here is CD Projekt Red. Apparently, they delayed their Witcher 3 new gen upgrade. So, the version for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. But one of the funny things is they're kind of saying it's not in development hell. And this is via Game Informer. This is kind of, they broke down a quote from Michael Nowakowski. He's the senior vice president of business development over at CDPR. And on an investor call, he said, quote, "I've been looking at the headlines that popped up here and there over the internet, and I've seen one that really drew my attention, which is Witcher 3 next gen delayed indefinitely, which sounds like the game is in some sort of development hell." Nowalski said, "I want to state that this is not the fact. There's been a lot of insinuations that we're going to launch like June next year or something like that. That's completely not the case. Everything we're saying is we have taken the development of the game in-house. The game is going to be finished in-house. We're evaluating our time. That requires a bit of investigation. That's all we're saying. Nobody's saying the game is delayed with some monumental time gap ahead of us. That's as much as I can say about Witcher Next Gen. But I really want to emphasize the fact. I don't know about you guys, but it sounds like it's in development hell, even though he's saying it's not in development hell. I mean, they did say they brought the game from, there was a different developer, right? And they brought it in-house to kind of like, okay, let's just bring it in. I don't know what that sounds like to you. What does that sound like to you, Luis? Does it sound like development hell or no? Or
it sounds like a white lie to me, because it maybe isn't in development hell because they're probably not developing it yet. Like, they got it from this third-party developer and they're trying to figure out what to do, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think they've even started and it's been delayed. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, we got to remind the people, they got their source code stolen and sold on the black market. So I mean, they're dealing with stuff.
Let me remind the people, they got to keep this in mind at all times. Whenever we're talking about The Witcher or Cyberpunk, remember, they got their source code stolen.
They really did. So like,
remember,
if they got to delay it, that's fine.
Yeah. So are people? I think people are more waiting on Witcher 4 at this point, though. And Cyberpunk is a whole different thing, right? That thing just right out of the gate was kind of terrible. But I feel like Witcher 3, I mean, the best way to play it, I'm assuming, is on PC, right? Like, kind of all the bells and whistles. At this point, it's like just work on the next one. I would assume on Witcher 4.
Yeah.
Dalan, your thoughts on this? Or Witcher 4? Whatever. Yeah. I was like, maybe that's the thought. Maybe that's the thought. You just want to say yeah.
It really is. It really is my thought. That it's like, all right, you want to re-release Witcher 3, and I get that people might still be buying it, but I doubt there's that many people that are still buying The Witcher as of today's date. I really doubt it, especially since at one point it was free. At one point it was free. I'm sure plenty of people already have this game.
Yeah, just give us
not on PS5.
Do you need it on PS5? This isn't Final Fantasy X. I understand it was Game of the Year. No, what we need is them to remake Metal Gear Solid 3. That's what we need.
Hey, Carlos, put the camera on Dalan.
I'm gonna put it's on Dalan right now.
Remake. Stop buying Witcher.
No, Skyrim, right? Hey, Skyrim.
No, stop buying Witcher 3.
Witcher 3. Hey, but like for the Skyrim thing, what did the guy say? It's like, as long as people keep gobbling it up, we're gonna keep giving it to them.
As long as people keep buying it, I'm gonna keep selling it.
I'm paraphrasing, of course, but that's kind of basically what he said. The other thing is, we did get a 2023 release window for Cyberpunk 2077's expansion. I don't know about you guys. I did go through the game. This was in the end of 2020, apparently. So it's been a while, and we're getting some DLC about 3 years later, 2.5 years later. This is what I'm waiting for, really. I kind of, yes, it's fine that they upgraded the next gen version, blah blah blah, to kind of make it a little more stable. But honestly, I'm just waiting for an expansion, and I'm ready to go on the next expansion of Cyberpunk. Luis, are you kind of waiting on the expansion, or what are your thoughts on the release?
Yeah, I only learned about this recently, but I think once this comes out, that'll probably make me buy Cyberpunk finally, so I could just play through it like in one swoop, not one sitting, but one swoop. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to it, just because so that I can finally take a dive into Cyberpunk.
Yeah, and it's very much like I said, it has a rap that is deserved, I think, in a lot of ways, because they really shit the bed on it, but. It's an Outer World. It's a Fallout 3. It's that kind of game. So I did enjoy it. I had to replay like a nasty chunk of it, like 10 hours, to fix one of their bugs. One of the missions wouldn't trigger, so I was like, let me play 10 hours. I guess that's how much I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it enough to be like, damn it, I have to go back 5, 6, 7 hours to get rid of that glitch or whatever. But I figured it out. So I'm ready for some DLC. The other thing on here, I know, Dalan, you said we talked about this last week, and we sort of did. We brought it up, but there was somebody that was able to actually play the Advance Wars 1 and 2 reboot, and Nintendo said, nope, we're going to take that away from you. I don't know what happened. This guy must have connected to the internet. I know the internet was like, do not connect to Wi-Fi. And what did this guy did? Connected to Wi-Fi, I'm sure. He says, quote, just before noon on the Sunday, I received an email from Nintendo saying, we have successfully received your return with the item listed as Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. They also said they were going to be in touch regarding a refund or replacement. Obviously, I didn't arrange a return at any point, so I was super confused. I did get in contact with Nintendo at this point, talking to customer service about a refund I hadn't arranged, and they said they would elevate it to the dedicated department. Shortly after, I received a further email telling me, further to your query, we are sorry to inform, unfortunately, the Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp item on your order has been canceled. The refund of £44.99, I believe, it looks like a little UK symbol, should be with you shortly. We apologize for any inconveniences may have caused you. This was via Eurogamer. Dalan, I got a little chuckle from you. What was so chuckle worthy from this man that got his game that he didn't arrange for a refund, but Nintendo's like, here's money back.
It's like they just took it back. Like they saw him online playing the game. They were like, you know what? We need to go into this guy's Switch and say, no, we're taking it back. It was like, aren't we going to inform him? No, we're just going to take it.
It's so like insidious. It's so like, I don't know if that's too strong of a word. I feel
like do you think it's one of those things that they could have been like, hey, do you think we should ask him to give it back because it wasn't ready to be on market yet? And somebody in their infinite wisdom said, no, he's not going to want to give it back.
Well, what it is, right, is we always talk about it, Dan. You are renting these games. This is like the clearest, like, you are renting a license to play these games. And Nintendo said, nope, there's a Ukraine / Russia situation going on. And it's like, we will quote unquote give. They did like the political stance of ripping that game from this man's hands, right? It was like, here is your return, sir. We are giving you your money back. But I like how they try to blame the man, though, right? He's like, for the return you requested. He's like, well, I didn't arrange shit. And they were like, no, we do not care. Hey, he connected a Wi-Fi.
We do apologize for the inconvenience.
Dude, it's ridiculous, man. But yeah, he connected the Wi-Fi at some point like a foolish man. Why did he do that? I don't understand. Luis, your thoughts on this?
Well, first and foremost, since you guys said it enough times, from my understanding, this is a woman, not a man.
Oh, my bad. Bad.
Hey, I was going based on Carlos's comments.
Okay, then don't follow me like that. But my bad. She.
But no, I don't think she did connect it like they told her. You know, hey, we're catching wind of this. Like, put it on airplane mode, whatever. And then I think she did, and she still got like the email. So I don't know if the actual return has happened, but they like started the process, and they're probably gonna be like, well, give us the game back now. Like, update your software or whatever.
You know what? Knowing Nintendo, they're gonna track this woman down, man. Like,
That's why I've been saying this forever, dude.
I mean, really, what are they gonna, even if she did end up keeping the game by keeping on
track her down, dude?
Nintendo being Nintendo.
Yeah, but you know,
people they like suing.
But
Nintendo
what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Really? What can they do, even if they did track her down?
They send the suits and knock on the door.
Hey,
they're gonna come in, and like how nice they're being on this like email thread or whatever, they're gonna show up and it's like, we want to show you the next Switch. And I'm like, got you, sucker. Now that we're inside your house, you gotta take the Switch.
I tell you what, though, I'd be like, no, the Switch ain't here. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have this game that you speak of. Like, what are you talking about? We track the fact that you're there, that you have it. Prove it. Prove that I have it. Like, all right, let me in your house. No.
They got their ID.
Dalan, it's impossible. It's Nintendo. It's Nintendo.
Yeah, they might have the receipt that she purchased it, but they can't prove that she has it.
Luis, what were you saying?
Then they'll disable the account. They'll do something. It's Nintendo. They'll sue her. Nintendo, dude. Like Carlos said, when you buy these games, that long scrolling text that nobody reads, it literally says they can void that purchase at any time. So,
okay, that's fine.
But it's
void
funny,
the purchase.
But it's funny that like they're being nice about it, right? Like they are like that much of assholes that they do want to remove this item from this person's library, but they also want to be nice about it. It's like, dude, if you guys
nice,
are gonna be
they
evil,
just jacked the game from your Switch.
No, I know that.
That is not nice.
No, what I'm saying is they're trying to project like they're being nice, right? That they're like, oh, the thing you cancel or your refund, here's your refund. And it's like, what refund? What the fuck are you guys talking about? Nintendo, like,
you just disable the game until it was ready to play?
You're trying to bring some logic into this, right? You're acting like you bought this at a Target and you have the physical copy of it. No, they will find a way, and it's Nintendo, dude. They're just Nintendo being Nintendo, man. It's just it's nasty. It's nasty. But no, Dalan, we did not talk about that last week. Well, this is an update to what we talked about last week. So there you go. It's a new wrinkle to it. Damn Nintendo. We got some new movie and TV news. There's a lot of this stuff, man. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like I'm happy with these things existing in video games, but you know, it's cool. It kind of brings more people into the kind of realm of video games and their stories, right? The first thing we're going to talk about is there's apparently a Streets of Rage film getting worked on. The script is going to be by the John Wick creator, and he also wrote Nobody, which was kind of cool, which was like kind of a John Wick Jr. If you guys haven't seen it, that's pretty nice. With Mr. Bob Odenkirk, the Better Call Saul himself. Are you excited about this? We don't have too many details. We just know it's from the John Wick creator. Some good I think it's the same like production house, D12 or DJ or whatever they're called, that worked on the Sonic Adventure movies or Sonic the Hedgehog movies. So based on that, Dylan, you're kind of hyped for a Streets of Rage movie?
Hey, when this came up, I realized that Streets of Rage 4 is about to leave the Xbox Game Pass. I should bring that up. But it's not so much about excitement. It's more about wondering whether or not they'll do it any justice. Because obviously video game movies don't normally make it big. And the last game that was even remotely like this that got made into a movie was Double Dragon, if you recall this movie.
That's what I was going to say. It's going to be a Double Dragon movie. It's gonna be
that movie was ridiculous. Oh man, it's almost as bad as Super Mario Brothers. It just didn't go into a development hell like Super Mario Brothers did.
Or like Witcher 3, new gen update. But it's not in development hell. The movies have gotten better, Dalan, in time. I think Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2, I think, have kind of proven that you can make something like that work, and they're big. I mean, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, I think, kind of made like $70 million in this first weekend, which is a good chunk of change. But
it says Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was the first successful video game adaptation that I know of that actually succeeded in this larger part. Obviously, there was the Lara Croft movies. I want to say Tomb Raider with Angelina Jolie because they actually made a second one. But even that wasn't the greatest of movies.
Yeah.
But the fact is that they don't have a great track record. Mortal Kombat is probably the closest thing.
Yeah, we have all we have is kind of the production house and the team, the writer from John Wick. So we kind of have an idea. We'll see when we get a little bit more details. We do have a little bit more details on Pedro Pascal, who plays Joel. He was talking. He's going to be playing Joel in the upcoming Last of Us TV show. He said he was trying to avoid experiencing it too much. So I kind of had to dig into it a little bit. It's like, what is this guy talking about? He had an interview with GQ, and I got the quote via Video Games Chronicle, and he was explaining that he didn't have enough skill to play the game. Pascal did say he watched his nephew play it instead, and he said, quote, "I watched for as long as I was able to that day, and then I had to leave Florida. I found Joel so impressive. I found the whole of it such a visually impressive experience, and then I got worried that I would want to imitate too much, which I think could be right in some circumstances and then a mistake in others." Basically, the man has not played the game and watched his nephew play it for a little bit, and he was like, whoa, that's too much. It's too much experience in this. I think it could. He's kind of saying that he was gonna go based on the direction, right? And I don't know if it's the same director from The Mandalorian or I think it might be the same director. The people involved, and he's saying he'll get direction from them to kind of base it on how he goes into the production for The Last of Us. Luis, you're the biggest, I think, Last of Us fan on the podcast here. What are your thoughts on this, man? Do you feel like he's kind of taking the right direction, or we'll see?
Yeah, I mean, at first I was kind of shocked, confused, like, well, you don't want to understand the source material? Like, that's kind of weird, but he brought up a good point. It's like, because Joel was such a good character in the games that he was worried that he was just going to imitate him on screen rather than, like, create his own version of it or whatever. And so he did mention, he's like, well, that's why I have Neil and the other director there to, like, guide me through the role, right? So he'll use what he knows and then go based off of their direction and create the character for the screen there. So yeah, I think it makes sense. It's different than like reading a book, right? Because you create all of that in your head as you're reading it versus like watching it on a screen and then doing it again.
Yeah, so. And I mean, and we have sort of an example too of like it's okay for the TV show to have its own identity too, right? Like it's like okay, we have Joel from the video games, but we can have Joel from the TV series. And I don't know if they've said this is canon or not, but for example, with Halo, I kind of do like, I don't know if you guys have caught up with the TV show, but it's not the greatest TV show in the world, but I do like that it does deviate a bit from the Halo games. It's still similar enough to like, oh, I understand who Cortana is, I understand who Master Chief is, but it's still its own thing. So I think I would be okay with have the TV Joel being something different, and The Last of Us being a little different with some familiarity kind of thrown in there. Dalan, your thoughts on this?
My thoughts is Pedro is not a gamer, and he's not good at games. I think he was like, hey man, I was thinking about the fact that he was like, no, I'm not good enough to beat this game, and there is an easy mode last I checked, and I'm pretty sure he could get through it if he really tried, but he's like, nah, I don't even want to try. I'm just going to watch somebody else do it. And then he didn't even finish watching it, so I'm sure he was
walked away.
I don't care to watch the video.
Like, you know what? I'm good. I understand.
He was like, I'm good. I will figure this out myself, and don't worry about it. So as an actor, I understand the fact that he wants to make the character his own, and actually it's kind of like looking at the different Batman. Because no other Batman wants to act like the previous Batman. And the same thing goes for Joel. This Joel doesn't want to act like the previous Joel. He wants to make it his role. And I'm fine with that. As long as it hits the core concepts of what Last of Us is.
There you go. There you go. That's all you can ask for. That's all you can ask for, Dalan. Stop messing with this video game acumen, his skill set over there. But you know what's funny?
I thought it was funny, but
well, I don't think it's that uncommon, man, that we see some of these people. You see them interviewed all the time. It's like, oh, I barely play this video game. The only
it's like, I didn't know this was a video game. And you got some people that are like in the middle of the interview like, wait, this is a video game?
Well, I don't know if you saw, but Jim Carrey recently had an interview where they were talking about, it's like, oh, what about the song? He was like, I'm not good enough. And they were giving him the fuzzy controllers at the time. And he's like, get that thing away from me. I was like, I've never been skilled. He's like, I've never been skilled enough at the video games, which, you know, it's funny, right? That these guys are kind of bringing our favorite characters to life on the screen, and they haven't beat a level of any of these games that they're kind of portraying. But it is what it is. You know, that's why they're actors, right? They can kind of act it out.
Hey, what was the name of that one segment that Conan had about video games?
I don't remember what it was called.
Well, it was like Coco, when he was doing Coco or something like that, right? That was kind of cool. I did like that segment because he was basically just shitting on him the whole time.
No, I want to say it was a segment called like Clueless Gamer or something like that. He just didn't like video games.
Possibly. But he would get into it. He would actually try them out, though. He would actually try them out. It was nice little. There's a couple little nice clips of it. So we'll move on to kind of the end of the show here. What you've been playing? At least I see a little NA, meaning he hasn't. I'm guessing GTA and Rocket League. At least that's kind of what you've been up to.
That's it.
There you go. Dalan, we finally finished Dying Light 2, and I see that you put on here FTG.
We all know what it stands
I can kind of guess what it means, but what does FTG mean, man? What do you mean? What do you mean?
Hey, the moment we beat that game, first thing I said was, fuck this game. I will put the F word in there, but just the one time.
Hey, that's the only ones we're allowed on these FTC airwaves, man. Just the one. You know, like AMC.
Hey, I'm gonna say it. That I could shout it off the rooftops. That for this game, unless you really want to deal with all the bugs that come with this game, don't buy it. It was the story in itself was interesting, and there's a bunch of little branching storylines. Yeah, you can really shape the way that the actual city is rebuilt as you actually give the city away to whichever faction you choose. But when I start spawning in to try and play with the homie, and I end up underneath the map more than once in one session, I ended up underneath that map maybe 4 or 5 times, right. And I fell into the pit of nothingness and then died, and I had to respawn. It was so upsetting. There again. Points where you can't even spawn to the next part of the map. There was a point where we were trying to do one of the last missions. The game, all you can hear is the sound, and both of our screens were just black. I'm like, you had to crash your game.
There's like a little chunk of story that you missed, and I had to record it. I used the PlayStation recording. I was like, Dan, if you want it, I recorded the last minute,
like 3 minutes.
Which I will say, I would hope that a lot more things do that, man. That are constantly recording in the background, right? Like, and you just like, okay, give me the last 2 minutes, 3 minutes, right? That's what did the PS4 do it? I know the PS5 does it. I don't know if the PS4 did it.
No, it didn't. PS5 and the Xbox One does it.
We'll give you like the last minute, 2 minutes. I think it goes.
You can set it up. Yeah, you can set it up to go. Well, for the Xbox One, I think you can set it up to go back half an hour.
Yeah. Well, look, as far as Dying Light, you know what the thing is with Dying Light though is that it's like a game that has like enough upgrades as far as the movement and as far as the gameplay compared to the original that it wants to sprout up and become a real game. It wants to become a real boy, right? But it's just the technical difficulties, the technical like mishaps and misadventures. It's too much, man. It's too much, and it's unfortunate because I think the part of the combat is pretty nice. I think the upgrade's a little smoother than the original, and the final boss we were both able to kind of beat him down. We didn't have to siphon off and do our own thing, right? Like as you do in the first one, it's like, oh, you can play the whole game. But except, when you get to the end, you're going to have to be on your own, which ends up in a QTE battle. I don't know how much better the battle we get to at the end of this game is versus a QTE, but at least we're both in it, right? We're both in the shit.
Well,
right? Like,
I think part of it, I think a big part of it is because of the choices that we made. We probably could have had a completely different final battle if we had actually gone through some of the other choices, but we chose what we chose. And the weird infection that you get from actually using the inhibitors really took away from whatever was happening in the story. You just wanted to be able to transform and beat whoever it was up and be invincible for the rest of the game.
Yeah. It's definitely an example of like a game that like if you play co-op, it's big. And co-op makes everything much better. As I hope we're gonna find out with Streets of Rage 4 then before it leaves Game Pass. But
I'm down.
It makes everything so much better. And this game, it definitely is rough. It didn't end on a QT, so that's kind of a plus there. But yeah, Dying Light 2, man, we're done. And look, I will say this though, I hope you appreciate my thinking as far as trophies are concerned, because you were there. I was like, Dalan, maybe some of the trophies are fun, and because you were ready to
let's get some of the easy trophies. I was ready to just rip it out of my PlayStation, chuck it against the wall, but it didn't belong to me.
But you did get sort of like a little bit of an insight into how my brain works with the trophies, right? It's like, okay, let me look through the list, and we got a couple things that we wouldn't have done, right? And I was like, okay, these are easy enough, and
we took an extra 5 minutes to do those.
Yeah. We explored the metro, we explored this that we never got around to because we were probably trying to just get to the end of the damn thing, right?
We didn't kill any anomalies the whole game.
And here is like, let's grab this trophy. So at the very least, we know what the anomaly is. We know what it is to go into the metro. But other than that, it's like, get this game out of here, man. It's finally out of our lives, and we can move on. So Dying Light 2, would you be able to give it a score, Dalan? Possibly at a 1 out of 10, just based on your observations here.
I'm actually going to give it 2 scores. Based on the way that I played it right now, because of how broken the game was, I would very much give it like a 4 out of 10. The story and the actual fighting was pretty much the only thing that really saved any points for that game. But all the brokenness, Rosario Dawson, part of the story. Yeah. But the brokenness of the game really ruined the experience of the game for me. I could say this right now: if the game wasn't buggy like that and they updated to actually fix those bugs, then I could have given that game a good solid 7 out of 10.
Okay, that's not too high, but that's 7's good. 7's a nice little solid score.
I mean, there are better games for me, but 7 is still pretty high up.
Well, we were partners in co-op ship on this game, and we were able to like destroy it, and it's fine. We can move on. I did as far as I played. I finally beat Chrono Trigger. That's a damn good game, Dalan. And I will say this, so it's on wax. You play a lot of RPGs, you beat a lot of RPGs. Dalan, you have not beaten the greatest RPG of all time, Dalan, and I have. So just a little, let me put that little notch on the scoreboard there, Dalan.
Wait, you beat Persona?
Okay, now I see what you're doing. But I'm saying best RPG as far as the general consensus, right? For me, it's a little tough to kind of give them that sort of reverence. And I was thinking, well, why is it? It's a pretty damn good game. It's a 2D game. It kind of goes back and, it's. I think the only thing I can compare it to is that I've never had seen Akira. And when I finally watched Akira, I watched it maybe a couple years ago. I finally watched it, and I was thinking, it's like, it's cool, but it's not that. It doesn't hit me that way. And I think the thing is, so many things has ripped off like Akira in the time that it came out. When did it come out? Like late 80s maybe, right? Down mid 80s or something like that.
Something like that.
It's been a while, right? But so many things have ripped off that like body horror, that guy, or what is it? The kind of the gory stuff that shows up in
the grotesque body, dude. Yes. Yeah.
Where it's like, I've seen this before, and I've seen
1988,
and I've seen derivatives of it. So maybe I'm not that impressed. So as far as Chrono Trigger, I feel like, I don't know. I've seen it before, or I've seen it like ripped off in that way where it's not as original. That being said, it's a damn good game. The combat system is nice. I did have fun with it. The auto battle definitely helped, because some of these battles I would die. I'm like, I need an auto battle to kind of get through some of them. And I thought I was done, because we did talk about it a little bit last week, but I thought I was done with the game. Turns out no. I had to grind some more. I had to do a couple like side quests to get better gear and better like to beat this damn boss, and I finally did, and it was very satisfying. Had to put in like 4 hours extra to beat this final boss, but I guess that's an RPG for you, right, Dalan? And I clocked in at about 18 hours, I think, to beat the game, so I enjoyed the length of it. The story's pretty nice. You're going back and forth through time. And that's about it. I think it's a damn good game. It's a damn good game. It's one of kind of I could see me maybe playing through it at some point, and I don't play through many games. The other thing is I've been playing. I'm going back to Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Deo said it a couple episodes ago. He said I think he was playing the Ace Attorney games, and he said it was wonderful. I think I'm gonna up him on this. Playing Kirby in the Forgotten Land is just pleasant, man. It's just a damn pleasant game to play through. It's kind of easy. I was playing it at work a little bit earlier. On my break. Right on my break, and I was falling asleep a little bit. Just how pleasant.
Good job
ousting
yourself.
Just how pleasant it was. Like, damn, it's a pleasant game, but it does put you to sleep a little bit. It might be a little too easy, but I think I gotta beat that thing to kind of send it back to GameFly. Maybe I'll talk about it a little bit more. I'm still having fun with it. It's a nice little game. You turn into all kinds of wacky stuff, specifically delineators and the like. I turned into like a air horn. You turn into like a stadium seating thing. You turn into all kinds of crap.
You mean just literally stairs?
Yes, literally stairs. I have turned into stairs, and the moves are you hop around, and one of the moves is to like topple over. Like that is literally one of the moves is to topple over with the big old stairs. So it's super wacky. It has co-op. I think I unlocked the sort of. It seemed like it was a Cooking Mama type of game, but it seems like it's simpler than that. But it is co-op, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna wrap my daughter into it. And it's like, come play this with me.
Is it online co-op? Because I might GameFly if that's
no, it doesn't. No, not as far as.
It's couch co-op.
Yeah, I think I could link to it, but and it's definitely like a super easy game, Dalan. It's gonna put you to sleep, but it's gonna be pleasant. It's gonna be super pleasant. Zinger for this week. Go ahead, Dalan. Did you have any more?
I was just gonna say, if you're gonna talk about great RPGs, you need to beat Final Fantasy VII. You played like up until you got out of Midgar, and then you were like, "All right, I'm done now. I can play Final Fantasy Remake."
That's exactly what I did. So right up until Remake 2 comes out, I'll play up to that point of whatever.
Dude, just beat 7, and you won't have to do it anymore. You'll enjoy it, I promise you. If you actually get far enough, you'll enjoy it.
I want to do it my way. The singer for this week is there's a guy that I don't know if you guys are aware, but there's a guy that bought an NFT for $2.9 million. This was an NFT of, I guess, Jack Dorsey. His first tweet, March 21st, 2006. He's just setting up my Twitter. So this guy bought it for $2.9 million. He asked for $48 million. He got offered $3,600 for something he paid $2.9 million for. I think this is a cautionary tale, man. Do not buy NFTs. Or would you still do it? Then would you still buy some NFTs? Or
man, $2.9 million is sitting around. I would do many other things. Well, like NFTs is not one of it. I don't know. Buy my house outright. Live comfortably. Stop working. That's about it. Okay, I just live my life.
Luis, what do you think, man? You ever gonna get into this NFT game?
I'm all right, but I mean, if he's got 2.9 mil to drop on an NFT, I think he's doing okay.
He's doing fine.
That return on the investment, I didn't do the math, dude, but 2.9 million he turned into $3,600. That's a negative millions or whatever that he's doing.
That return. That's that return.
ROI. Well, look, that's been Salient Points number 65 for this week. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm Carlos Macias, the Master and Commander, or whatever you like to call it this week. Dalan,
Master of Arms.
Master of Arms. Dalan Kirkwood from Up in the Mountains. Thank you for joining us, sir.
You're welcome.
And Luis on the wheels of steel. And thank you. If you guys want to throw out some comments, some likes, subscribes, all that fun stuff, we'd like to get some more people involved. Give us some questions, some wackiness, and anything that will make Dalan cringe is more than welcome. All right.
Why you guys like that?
I know what I said, Dalan.
It was good content.
I know what you said. Oh, snaps.
I know what I said.